One beautiful spring day, a young girl named Alice sat by the river listening to her sister read aloud from a history book. But Alice wasn't really listening. She was playing with her cat, Dinah, and daydreaming. The sun was bright and the air was warm. Soon, Alice began to close her eyes. She no longer heard her sister's voice. Suddenly, a large white rabbit dashed by. Alice jumped up. The rabbit was wearing a waistcoat and bow tie and was carrying a huge pocket watch. I am late for a very important date, the white rabbit muttered as he went along. Alice went chasing after him, but he stopped short at a rabbit hole. The rabbit scuttled down the hole. Thinking he might be late for something fun, like a party, Alice followed him. Suddenly, she stumbled and fell head over heels into the hole. But instead of falling faster, she began falling slower and slower until she was floating. She landed gently, just in time to see the rabbit disappear through a tiny door. Alice was too big to follow him. The doorknob suggested she try the bottle on the table, which she said, "Drink me." Alice drank and drank. With every sip, she got smaller and smaller. When she was ready to open the doorknob told her that he was locked. Then he suggested she try a biscuit from the box labeled, "Eat me." Alice did, and she began to grow. Soon, she was crying giant tears. The doorknob told her to drink again. She grew smaller and smaller until she could float right through the keyhole. On the other side of the keyhole, Alice found she was in the strangest place. There were talking birds and walking fish, and a Cheshire cat who kept appearing and disappearing. Alice kept hoping that one of these creatures could help her find the white rabbit. But they were no help at all. She came upon a pair of twins. They introduced themselves as Tweedledum and Tweedlet. "How do you do, Tweedledum and Tweedlet?" Alice greeted them. She could not tell them apart at all. When first meeting someone, you should shake hands and state your name, said Tweedledum, grabbing Alice's hand and shaking it firmly. "That's manners," said Tweedledum, grabbing her other hand and giving it a good squeeze. With that, the twins danced Alice round and round. But they were so rough that they flipped her over, knocking her onto her back. Alice was not pleased. "Talk about manners," Alice exclaimed as she picked herself up. "If you must know, my name is Alice, and I'm following the white rabbit. I'm very sorry, but I must go." Despite the twins' protests, Alice went on her way. Soon, she came to an unusual garden. Flying about were bread and butterflies and a rocking horsefly. Alice discovered that the flowers of Wonderland could speak. "What kind of flower are you?" a big orchid asked her. "Oh, I'm not any kind of flower," Alice replied. "Why, no fragrance at all," added another flower, sniffing her. Alice did not know what to make of this. "Just as I suspected," a rose cried. "She's nothing but a common weed." The rose turned her back on Alice. "Leave!" shouted the flowers. "We don't want you in our lovely garden." They pointed to the way out. Feeling very upset, Alice was forced to run away. Then, nearby, Alice saw a familiar grin up in a tree. It was the Cheshire Cat. She asked if he'd seen the White Rabbit. "No," replied the cat, "but if I were looking for him, I'd ask the Mad Hatter." And with that, the cat began to disappear. Alice realized that the cat hadn't told her how to find the Mad Hatter. She walked along and saw 2 road signs pointing in the same direction. One read Mad Hatter and the other read March Hare. She followed the signs to a clearing in the woods where the Mad Hatter was giving a tea party with the March Hare. They made Alice feel quite unwelcome. They refused to offer her a cup of tea and had no intention of helping her find the White Rabbit. Alice went on her way and soon ran into the Cheshire Cat again. She explained that she was trying to find her way home, but the cat replied that all ways led to the Queen. He opened the door and Alice stepped through. The White Rabbit hurried into view. He was about to announce the Queen. The Queen of Hearts appeared and invited Alice to play croquet, but during their game, the Cheshire Cat showed up and tripped Her Royal Majesty. The Queen was enraged and blamed Alice. "Off with her head!" she cried. There was a mad chase, and Alice ran through Wonderland to get away. Suddenly, Alice awoke on the river bank. "You've been dreaming," her sister said. Alice looked around, but didn't see any strange talking creatures. All she saw were her sister. The old history book and Dinah, her cat, and that was just fine with Alice.